young fascisti were on the march. Benito Mussolini was a familiar figure on the newsreel screens, a threatening one in the councils of the world. And these colorful mass spectacles frequently staged in the Eternal City made brave and stirring sights to those who shared the totalitarian ideal. The Lion of Judah and his warriors awaited the end of Ethiopia's rainy season, which would signal invasion by Italy's fascist legions. Chieftains and tribesmen flocked to Addis Ababa, where they pledged their loyalty and their lives to Emperor Haile Selassie. Italy's black shirt legions embarked for Africa. Il Duce was bent on regaining the glory of ancient Rome, and Ethiopia was his first target. A border dispute with Emperor Haile Selassie was Mussolini's pretext for blatant aggression in Africa.
These pictures from Addis Ababa, capital of Abyssinia, are of intense interest and are the first to reach England from the great African Christian Empire. They vividly illustrate the feeling of the Ethiopians in answer to Italy's mobilization and dispatch of thousands of troops to the Somaliland borders of Abyssinia over a dispute for the ownership of certain water wells in this desert part of Africa. The Emperor of Abyssinia, Haile Selassie I, who personally has taken a big part in the dispute with Italy and fostered a martial spirit amongst the tribal chieftains, visits a military college where Abyssinian officers with the most modern equipment are being trained by European officers. The Emperor watches cavalry exercises.
Film dispatch from Lawrence Starlings on the right, Movie-Tone staff correspondent in Abyssinia, and Len Hammond, chief cameraman. The scene, Addis Ababa. The occasion, a great march of warriors on Haile Selassie's palace to demand arms and the permission to make war on their enemies. The emperor has his own army of uniformed troops, but the backbone of Abyssinia's defense will be not soldiers, but barefoot warriors, armed, if at all, with ancient rifles, many of them of 1870 pattern, or with primitive spears. These innocent folk cannot understand the emperor's reluctance to go out and beat up the Italians, as the Emperor Menelik did in 1896 at the Battle of Adwa. The spectator in the topian trench coat is Colonel Herbert Julian, who achieved fame in the United States as an aviator and has returned to offer his services. Abyssinia has an air force, as witness this scene at Addis Ababa's airport. The pilots, Asfar and Baharu, are taking machine guns to the troops in the north, 4 hours by air as against a month over land. Asfar studies a map with Corrige, the chief of the Abyssinian Air Force, who is a French soldier of fortune. And then the plane takes off. And anybody who didn't expect it to fly may apologize mentally. Meanwhile, across the border in the north, Italy has her colored troops too. They are Ascari, and they move with all appearance of relishing their orders from Asmara towards the frontier. But will Mussolini's war be fought with horsemen and infantry? The expectation is that the Italians, if there is a war, will attempt to push forward their mechanized forces with the army following and building roads behind.
Thank you. In 1936, Haile Selassie, here on horseback, was thrust before the world's attention. Ethiopia, his land of jungle tribesmen, was rallying behind him to repel a brutal Italian aggression. Mussolini, with dreams of empire, was determined to make Ethiopia a colony. Italians contributed their gold to help him. Italian troops on the plateaus of the mountainous kingdom outraged the world of the 30s, but no one did anything effective to thwart Il Duce's ambitions. The modern weapons of the invaders routed the poorly armed Ethiopians. In today's terms, Il Duce's camel-supported army doesn't look like much. Nonetheless, they easily succeeded in shackling a people who had boasted a record of independence extending back to the days when the Queen of Sheba ruled their land. This was a prelude to World War II, but the bombing of Dessie by the Italians, led by Mussolini's son, brought only mild protests from the world at large. People were incredulous when young Mussolini said the bursting bombs were to him like blossoming flowers. But the governments of the world did nothing. Ethiopia fell. The King of Kings, the Lion of Judah, fled, to be restored to his throne only after World War II.